We're talking to Mike Defee. He was the referee for the national title game. I know I'm not allowed to get into specifics about the title game, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Can you give me your thoughts, though, on what you look for in a pick play? Not talking about anything in specifically, but what is a red flag or a flag itself that you're going to throw? When you see a pick play, what is it you're looking for?
Well, generally speaking, we're looking for an overt act by an offensive receiver against a defensive player. But what will negate that act is a defender who will engage the offensive player. If the defensive player engages by putting his arms out, grabbing, shoving, engaging, that will take the action of the offensive player off of a pick play. But we look for an overt act by the offensive player with no reaction from the defense.
Yeah, and I understand the last play to me was not a pick play, and what you're saying without being specific is that the defensive player did engage with the wide receiver there. I didn't think it was a pick play. But also the targeting rule. What are you looking for in a targeting rule?
Well, the targeting rule, actually, I was privileged to sit on the rules committee when the disqualification for targeting came in, and it's a very, very important piece of trying to get players to play within the framework of the rules so that we're preserving these young men when they're my age, that they still have their faculties. So what we're looking for is contact to the head area with targeting indicators, a launch, a thrust, a strike, some kind of action verb there. There are many, many times in games where there is what we call incidental contact to the head of a player that is not of targeting nature. So just because you have helmet-to-helmet contact does not in and of itself mean that there's targeting. So it has to be basically an intentional act with some of the high-risk indicators into the head or neck area. And the player has to be defenseless, with the exception of striking with the crown of the helmet.
Yeah, and I know that there were a couple of close calls in the national title game, but how do you judge intent on something like that, Mike?
Well, again, I haven't seen any of the plays from the game, so I can't comment there. But at the end of the day, when we're looking for, intent, as when a player lines a guy up, as he's coming in, we're looking for a launch, a thrust, a strike in that area. But the other thing is there's much more to the equation than that. Receiver, whoever that defensive player is, there are going to be times where he changes his level. So if his head is at one level, and then all of a sudden as he turns and drops his position, the defensive player can be trying to make a legal strike in the chest area, and if the guy changes at the last minute, we call that lowering positioning, and then that would absolve the defensive player because he's legitimately trying to make the right play on the player.
Give me the coach. You don't have to name him if you don't want to, but if you do, it'd be a lot of fun. Who works you? Like, you got a good story of a coach that works you on the sidelines?
Oh, there's a bunch of them. But at the end of the day, it really doesn't work with us. In fact, the more you complain, the more you try to work me, the less I'm going to listen to you. And if I had one piece of advice for coaches is pick your moments. Red Cashin once told me one of the coaches he had the most respect for was Bill Parcells. Bill never said a word. He said, but when he did, you better listen because he was usually right. So, I respect all the coaches. They have a very, very tough job to do. And, some of them can be really aggressive, some are not. But, you take it with a grain of salt. And as official, if you go into an environment like that and you don't expect some kind of conflict, you're in the wrong business. It's just the nature of it, and we just deal with it.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.